Welcome to the Going Green podcast. About 8 months ago, we had a look at the many colours of hydrogen and we had a look at the different types of hydrogen. But there's been quite a lot of progress since then, and recently there's been a new report out on looking at renewable hydrogen and what the UK can actually do about this, and having a look at sort of what's going on. So this is looking at a little report that came out from Renewable UK, which is about green hydrogen and optimizing for net zero. And basically, the summary of the report is that the UK is in a fantastic position to produce lots of green hydrogen. And green hydrogen is hydrogen made from renewable sources. And once they've actually done that, we've got marvelous facilities to store it.
Well, yes.
So why aren't we doing it?
Well, the answer is two reasons, and one is simply, you're going to look at how do we make the green hydrogen. Well, we're going to take renewable power, so we're going to build the renewable energy generation, the electricity generation, to then power electrolysis or electrolyzers, which convert water into the hydrogen and oxygen, and then it's to then send that hydrogen elsewhere, to be used, but all the things you would use fuel, and of course, byproduct is then water. So yeah, so that's the plan. The two problems we've got is building the power requirements to power these electrolyzers, and the second part is actually building these electrolyzers.
Because we've already got the storage, which is fantastic already. We've got these big caverns. We've got lots of salt caverns in this country, which are really good at actually holding hydrogen. Hydrogen's a bit of an awkward customer in that it's so small, and basically it can get out through not gaps, but actually between molecules. You don't think of having gaps between molecules, but there are, and hydrogen can quite happily seep out through these. So getting a good storage is a real problem. So let's have a look at the story where we are and what we've got. So first of all, we want to make hydrogen. Now let's ask the question, why do we want hydrogen, Paul?
Well, it's very simple. It burns cleanly, and when we mean burns cleanly, it burns without any CO2. In regards to when you burn hydrogen in the presence of oxygen, all you make is water.
So that's really quite good, isn't it? It's clean energy, great. But we can also do some various other things with hydrogen. So if I've got a solar cell, a solar sort of farm, if you like, it makes a lot of electricity during the day, but we need it at night, and basically I've got to store it somehow. So the options are, do we store it in batteries, or could we store it by breaking down water into hydrogen and oxygen and storing the hydrogen in basically some storage device?
Yeah, there. So two proposals for the storage devices is to basically where we've been drilling out all the oil in the North Sea is to actually put the hydrogen back out in down there and use the old oil pipelines to essentially pump all the hydrogen we're going to send down there. Basically, it's a two-way street to use it to store it, because of course when on a nice sunny day, that's a nice sunny windy day, we're going to be producing a lot of power and therefore potentially producing a lot of hydrogen. And so the answer is, on those good days, you produce more hydrogen than not that you're using, that's the wrong way to describe it, but you overproduce the hydrogen so that on the poor days, you've still got the hydrogen for normal consumption. So, so the consumption of hydrogen is fixed and the production days ramp up and down, if that makes any sense. And so this is what they want to do. They want to build these things, build these terminals to do all these things.
Because basically, we're basically, where I was trying to think, you could say, explain where you've stored oil naturally. There's also been a lot of carbon dioxide, methane, various other gases stored, and they've been stored there for hundreds of thousands of years. They haven't seeped out. There has been quite a lot of hydrogen in there as well. It hasn't seeped out, so it's a good place to try and store hydrogen. And since these oil wells are now becoming more empty, I
Yeah, I was gonna,
suppose,
yeah, I wasn't say
they're
dry, but
not
more
dry yet, but we can store the hydrogen in there, and we can use existing pipelines.
infrastructure. Yeah, to pump or to move these things around. Yeah,
Good.
it's that's the critical point, is replacing not the fuel source, but just the actual fuel, in hoping that we save cost on infrastructure, so we don't have to build the pipelines. Now, yeah, the plan is to go to make, what's it, something daft like 5 megawatts of green hydrogen by 2030. That's what the government's plan is, set out, and that's what we're working on towards. Yeah, we'll see whether it happens or not. It's a different matter, but that's what they're planning to go for. In relation, and loads of other places suddenly have turned on to this, the hydrogen as a fuel, because of course two things. Firstly, the soaring cost of gas and oil, because of conflict, because there's less of it. The rising prices. It is just one of those things where the alternative, we need something, and we need it now, and so they're looking at developing all this. But the other caution thing, which is the critical part, is the fact that we currently use a lot of hydrogen in industry anyway.
Yeah.
And we're talking some, commonly the hydrogen's basically used in the chemical factory for where basically we make more different fuels. I say different fuels. We turn fuels and we crack them, and that needs hydrogen. So, and we get all that hydrogen currently from the fossil fuels itself, which is a bit sort of nasty, but it's
There's several ways we do that, and those are the ones that are called grey hydrogen and blue hydrogen, aren't they?
yeah. So
Either from methane or, yeah, really, you can get some from carbon dioxide storage. You can sort of try and make some of it that way.
yeah,
But a lot of it's also made from steam and methane. And basically that's the grey hydrogen. That's using up a lot of sort of fossil fuels. If you can try and recover some stuff from carbon capture, that's more of our blue hydrogen. But
yeah,
the green hydrogen is what we want, the electrolysis, and they put in water, they keep the hydrogen, and they don't really bother much with the oxygen. They just sort of shove it out in the air.
yeah. Well,
Because there's loads in the air anyway, isn't there? Basically, there's
yeah,
sort of 21%.
it's not really going to make much difference, because what you'll find is, at the end of it, when you burn it, you're essentially putting the oxygen back into the system. So, effectively, although there's going to be an increase in oxygen, by when we're burning it, it's going to decrease. So it's a net. So it doesn't. We don't care. That's the benefit of looking at anything. Any more we produce, we use. We become this sort of, not self fulfilling, but cyclic economy, which is the whole move to go for, where basically what we use is what we get. And Europe suddenly, I say, switched on about this.
I think Ukraine crisis hasn't helped, has it?
Yeah, that hasn't helped. But they've had some balmy ideas before, and I'm gonna quickly just tell you one. Uh, you know,
I
so
don't think it's balmy.
I don't think it's not balmy in the sense of ludicrous or outrageous. It's just balmy in the sense of that's how they're going to do it. It's one of those things where, anyway. So basically, they want to put in Morocco, Algeria, Egypt. They want to build, essentially what the UK is doing in the North Sea. Is essentially put some wind farms or solar panel, some renewable energy generators, they were then, instead of shipping the electricity straight to Europe, they're going to ship it to electrolysers in those countries, because of course they come on the coast of the Mediterranean, who are then going build some pipelines, maybe some tankers, but yeah, they haven't said. This is all in theoretical, and then ship all that hydrogen into Europe. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. It's fine, it's dandy, it's no problem. It's just
And countries like Algeria, Morocco, Egypt would be set to make a lot of money on this.
yeah. So it's not a
So it's something good for
outrageous.
them as well. It's not like we're suggesting we're going to rob them of this, that, and the other. They're also going to make enough, probably excess of hydrogen, that it's enough to power the whole of Africa. And then you're looking at these countries becoming, quite rich if they're able to supply. We talked about the idea of Morocco having lots of solar panels and just shipping the electricity direct by cable up to the UK. There are all sorts of ideas being looked at the moment.
And it's not looked at like, oh, we could do that. It's actually seriously looked at as, could this be the solution we're looking for? Because of course we need that, like I say, magic bullet. We need that silver bullet in doing all these things, because of course, the targets that Europe and has set itself to become net zero has dramatically come down because of trying to wean ourselves off Russian gas and oil. And so basically there is now incentive, as opposed to previously where we said, oh yeah, but there'd be always Russian oil and gas. We can just turn it slowly down. Suddenly now we don't want Russian gas and oil. So it's one of those things where now we're going to say, look, what is the alternative? And hydrogen, not saying is the best alternative, that's the wrong way to describe it, but it's a serious contender in fulfilling the amount of energy power needs. Because of course you can do normal gas things with hydrogen as opposed to other fuel sources.
Well, hydrogen's used for several things, isn't it? One of the things it's used for is combining with nitrogen, and what I have to teach my kids, that the Haber process of joining hydrogen and nitrogen together to make ammonia, and the ammonia is then used to make various other chemicals, including fertilizers, and I suppose relevant today, explosives as well. And there's a soaring price at the moment of gas. And that means there's also where we make our hydrogen, there's therefore a soaring price in ammonia. And the soaring price in ammonia then means a soaring price in food.
Exactly. So, this is the roundabout way. It's the fact that if we produce this hydrogen, we can actually use it for other things, and in theory, drive down the cost of gas, or more precisely, replace it. In which case, then we don't need the gas. The gas can be used for other things, like barbecues. I'm just throwing out better alternative uses for gas, but that could be done by hydrogen anyway. But you're suddenly seeing it's the economy of what we're using for hydrogen, or of natural gas, and we're just trying to replace it. But we're trying to replace it with something not. You can't replace it with just electricity power. You can't just do that. You need to. We use gas for a reason. That's why that's why we haven't gone on to the full electric power, is because we still use gas. We still need gas for the the chemical industry, the agriculture, all those things that we still need the gas.
We do use quite a lot. At the moment, hydrogen, we use about 27 terawatt hours of hydrogen currently. And most of that's, of course, grey hydrogen. Now, by 2050, it's guessed that we're going to use about 460 terawatt hours of hydrogen. But if we put that into context, at the moment we use about 1,500 terawatt hours of fossil fuels. Now, if we can change some of those fossil fuels, instead of having petrol cars and diesel cars, have electric cars, and our electric cars can be either fuel cell powered by hydrogen, or we could have power stations powered by hydrogen, also producing the electricity and charging the cars. It's looking like that our 1,500 terawatt hours of hydrogen's nothing like enough. But the good news is we've got storage in this country for, I think it was about 2,700 terawatt hours of uh, hydrogen. So that looks like we've got plenty of storage capacity, especially because we're going to be using more and more and more. So we've got that, and we can actually make it because we've got quite a few wind farms. This country may not be good at solar, and we're not bad at solar, but we are really good at wind farms because, it's windy here.
Yeah, exactly. This is the whole the point of the scenario. We've been doing lots of wind farms, and but Europe hasn't. Now, I'm not saying Europe isn't windy. That's the wrong way to describe it. But it's one of those things where Europe has this potential for wind power. They just don't use it, or more precisely, they're not put downing it because, of course, they've never had to. Whereas, the UK, we've been trying to do this because, of course, we have this not problem or issue, but essentially we had a choice, a couple of decades ago. Do we go for nuclear power or do we go for renewables? Because, of course, the nuclear power, old nuclear power plants were going to be turned off. So, and the idea is, do you build new power plants or do you do some renewables? And so the hedge bet was on these renewables because at the same time of that, gas was cheap, gas was affordable, and now suddenly it's not. So, it's things are moving to the point where they're going, look,
We,
these are
we've
changed.
got to we've got to make a basically an environment here where we can produce solar when it's sunny, wind power when it's windy. But when it's neither of those, we've got to still rely on then either storage of electricity in batteries, storage of potential electricity making in hydrogen, or nuclear power. And all of those are particularly sort of carbon friendly, carbon neutral, or carbon negative. But renewables are better, I think, than nuclear because nuclear is still not renewable.
Yeah, this is it is one of those dumb things where it's just which way do you go? And as I said, the decision made was to go down the renewable route because nuclear power stations aren't not affordable. That's the wrong way to put it, but they're not quite. You know, the energy, the power you get out of it is not currently at the right cost to do so. Um, everything's changed now because that's why we're coming up with building lots of small nuclear reactors. I know Rolls Royce got plans to do
Yeah.
small nuclear reactors, but it's all
When you
diverse.
say small, actually, you actually mean quite big, don't you?
Yeah, we're not,
Just not huge.
not huge is the answer, but no, it's trying to diversify the power mix, trying to diversify to prevent not lack of supply, but to shield ourselves from any shocks and aws. Because we're currently this the gas price. We're not. The problem is, you see, gas price is fixed by other people. We can't do anything about it. We just pay the huge absorbent cost because we've got no control. But if we've got control of our hydrogen supply, how much hydrogen we make and use, and those things, we can almost self-regulate, self-govern how much power we need. And then if sort of like, well, if we decrease the amount of gas being used and we just run on electricity, which we are self-sufficient or self-regulation regulatory on, then we can basically say, right, and hopefully bring the cost of gas down massively, and then say, well, we don't need the gas anymore. And basically, you can put your, oil and just put it in the ground again. All those barrels you see out in the, not out, you don't see them out actually in the thing, you just see empty barrels. But you don't see these barrels in warehouses stored up. The answer is, well, we can put those back in the ground, and surely, instead of actually needing them. But yeah, that's the optimistic view of all those.
We've got to get to a state where we're much more self-sufficient. Europe's going to sort of need to do this. And in fact, looking at quite a lot of the hydrogen that we could actually make, we could actually become a real net exporter to Europe. We could possibly supply Europe with, I don't know how much, but a large amount of its hydrogen needs if we get our act together and we get going doing this, really. So we could produce an awful lot of green hydrogen offshore using, let's say, floating wind farms, and they could then store and deliver this energy on sort of onshore, and any extra we can sort of pump to Europe, and then we become a bit like the Saudi Arabia of hydrogen production. And Britain could again be great again, producing lots of stuff. It's not just the UK. I was looking at figures for America and the amount of wind they can produce in America. From what they've actually got at the moment, they could supply easily about half the amount of electricity in America.
Yeah, I read it was a third, but half or a third.
It's that sort of amount.
But they're not doing it. That's the major problem about them. But they could. It's one of the things where if you had the choice and you could do it, and the motive and the political will, shall we say, to actually go for and push these things, you could do a lot of things. It's just, once again, it's the political will.
We know why these things haven't happened, and they haven't happened because, do I invest in all this new renewable stuff? Oh, oil's come down in price. It's a lot cheaper now. So we could wait and we use it while the oil's cheap. And basically, we've been at the beck and call, I suppose, of the oil producing countries.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're holding back, but it is, as the problem is, you see, this is the whole crux of the problem is basically oil's been cheap. So therefore, what's the incentive to move across? Ukraine / the Russia problem has caused a change in attitude to saying, right, well, we've got to wean ourselves off Russian gas. Therefore, we've got to replace that Russian gas with something. Well, we could do it. We haven't got any gas to replace it with. Yeah, that's a critical thing. So let's replace it with hydrogen, which should be better for the environment, and it fits all our goals, and it solves all the problems. That's the attitude in the relation to all that. But out in America, it's less so because they don't get any Russian oil or gas. So what's their incentive to move across? And the answer is
global warming.
Global warming. Who minds about that apart from all the wildfires and all the terrible global warming that's happening?
And the head in sand situation that they had until a few years ago with a certain administration that didn't believe in global warming.
Yes.
So anyway, what are our long-term commitments now to renewable technologies? What can we do to try and encourage and basically provide confidence, I suppose, in this industry to get people to invest? Because we've got to try and drive down costs. We can do that by generally scale. If you're making lots of wind turbines, they come down in price. And then you can attract private capital and you can accelerate this pace of deployment of all these things that we actually need. So we've got to basically up our offshore wind sector. And there's a lot of talk about doing this at the moment. And they've got targets by 2030. I think we're going to see some of those coming down. And if we can get more renewable strategies in place, we can get more electricity being made by renewables, then the next problem comes, well, how are we going to store it? And there are only two options, really. One is storing it in batteries, and they're expensive and problematical. Whereas green hydrogen isn't a bad way. And using sort of, I do a nice little demonstration of a fuel cell. You could shove in hydrogen and get out electricity, or you can shove in electricity and get out hydrogen.
Yes,
And it flips literally just like that.
Yeah, and suddenly you've got this potential. This is the whole point of it. Basically, is we can use old existing infrastructure, all the old stuff. We can even put it back hydrogen into the oil wells. That's a storage. You see, the answer is we've now come up with the ideas and the solutions. It's now got to do it. We've actually got to physically go out there, sort these, build these turbines, build these electrolyzers, do all the conversions over to hydrogen.
But there is the money problem. At the moment, if you want to make green hydrogen, it costs between £2.30 and £6.10 a kilogram. Whereas if you want to make it with grey hydrogen from sort of fossil fuels or slightly blue hydrogen, it's about 45p. So there's a difference, £2.30, 45p. Now, given that we've now got this enormous rise in gas prices, that is starting to now, the cost of making green hydrogen is starting to reach parity with the blue and the grey hydrogen. So now there's sort of more cash incentive, perhaps, to make it.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Is the incentive is, nuclear was an option because it was too, no one's expensive, but renewables was a lot cheaper, for the power than the nuclear power plant. So that's why we went down the renewable, because it was coming down so much in cost. And this will eventually happen to hydrogen. It will come down in cost.
Yeah, but basically the reckoning is it's going to be about £1.50 a kilogram by sort of a few years' time.
But the critical point is that previously gas was cheap. Therefore, what was the point? Now that gas is horrifically expensive, it's now sort of like going, why spend the money on gas? I mean, we could spend the same money on hydrogen. And by the way, the more money you put into hydrogen, the cheaper that goes, as opposed to the more money you put in gas. Unfortunately, the higher the cost goes, because it's just one of those odd things where they're dealing with scarcity. So, now, what are you talking about? Are you thinking of going down the route of gas, where you've got this problem? Or could you say, well, gas, the cost parity now with hydrogen, let's go and dump all the money in hydrogen, and because that's the long-term path we're going down towards, as opposed to gas.
Well, yeah, you can also look at the price of gas. The gas, I've got some figures, and it says the cost of gas in April 2021 was 50 pence per therm. It's just a unit. Now it's costing 450 pence per therm. And I don't think that's accurate. I think that's even gone up a bit from that, because they're talking about in sort of October having to shove it up again because, well, we don't know how much it's going to cost. And if that cost is going up so much, then the cost of producing hydrogen becomes significantly less. So the figures are by about 2050, we should be able to produce hydrogen, green hydrogen, by about £1.50 a kilogram. And that is going to be significantly cheaper than gas.
Yep.
And that's with building all these turbines, solar panels, everything, all the extra infrastructure to do that. So that's something that we've sort of got to really worry about. And that can only happen if governments really get their act together. And by governments, I suppose I just don't mean our governments, but
Yeah.
all the European governments getting going.
Yes.
The whole world, really.
Yes. Well, that's the one major thing.
You've been listening to the Going Green podcast, talking about where we're going with this green hydrogen revolution. Next week, we'll be back with some more information on going green. And until then, it's goodbye from me and
A goodbye from me.
bye-bye.
Bye.